Jazz artist who said metal is just noise gets shocked. After hearing Ozzy Osbourne's voice on a quiet Tuesday night in Soho, under dim jazz lights and the hum of cultured whispers, a man slipped into a club unnoticed. Nobody knew the music world was about to witness a lesson it would never forget. Nobody saw the rock legend hiding in plain sight, a storm simmering beneath a baseball cap. And nobody expected what would happen when ego tried to crown itself king. In front of the Prince of Darkness, before we start, tell us where you're watching from. And if you love real stories of artists with soul, subscribe to Voices of Darkness. Soho, New York City. Tuesday night, yet the street buzzed with curated chaos, rooftop laughter, neon reflections on wet pavement, saxophone notes bleeding from open windows. Inside Blue Note Jazz Club, history breathed through wooden walls and velvet curtains. Tonight was no different, or so they thought. The place dripped with polished opinions. Critics in silk shirts, aging wine in crystal glasses, intellectual arrogance masked as appreciation. They whispered sentences like, "Oh, his tone references Coltrane's modal period." Everyone trying to prove they belonged. At a small table in the back corner, unnoticed, sat a man who didn't need to belong. Cap-low jeans, worn sneakers, sleeves faded from life, not fashion. Ozzy Osbourne. He wasn't here for attention. He was here for silence, or at least the kind only music can create inside the heart. Sharon had a migraine at the hotel. Ozzy slipped out quietly. He wandered until the Blue Note sign glowed like a lighthouse, guiding him to peace. He paid cash. Tipped heavy, ordered quietly. Then he closed his eyes and listened. The young jazz trio on stage played not to impress, but to breathe. Their music wasn't performed. It lived. Fingers dancing, hearts speaking in notes. The crowd still talked, but Ozzy heard only the truth. Music is not sound. It is soul-given shape. The pianist carried melancholy. The bassist whispered memories. The drummer played like he was painting time. Ozzy smiled. Some people think metal fans don't get subtlety, but what they don't understand is metal isn't noise. Metal is pain sculpted into power. Ozzy admired good music in all forms. He didn't judge genres, only hearts. And these boys? They had heart lights dimmed. Applause swelled. The announcer stepped forward like a priest ready to introduce a god. Tonight we welcome a legend of jazz, the illustrious Richard Ashford. Then he walked out. Silver hair perfectly slicked. Italian suit, gold-plated saxophone, posture sharpened by ego. He didn't walk. He claimed the stage. He lifted the sax like royalty raises a scepter. Then he played. And yes, he was brilliant. Notes soared like acrobatics. Technique flawless. Breath controlled like a surgeon's hand. But there was one problem, no soul. The crowd applauded loudly, because they were supposed to. Not because they felt anything. Ozzy felt it in his bones. Music without heart is just math pretending to matter. Ozzy decided to leave. Night complete. Peace earned. But fate loves drama. As Ozzy passed the backstage door, it swung open. Richard stood there polishing his golden sax like a trophy. They locked eyes. Richard judged him instantly. Clothes, age, posture. Did you enjoy real music? You look like someone who listens to metal. His tone was silk-soaked in disdain. Ozzy stayed silent. The calm before the storm. Richard smirked. Metal isn't art, it's noise. Jazz is discipline, intellect, culture. He straightened his suit like ego needed ironing. Ozzy's eyes narrowed slightly. A lion amused by a house cat pretending to roar. Then came the final blow. Perhaps one day you'll understand true art. Ozzy gave a small, patient smile. Inside his chest, a fuse quietly lit. Ozzy didn't shout. He didn't argue. He walked to the owner instead, slipped off the cap. Revealed his face. The owner nearly collapsed. "Mr. Osbourne?" "Shh," Ozzy whispered. "Don't blow my cover. I just need 5 minutes on stage. 5 minutes that would live forever." A signal went to the announcer. Lights adjusted. Whispers rose. The audience held its breath. Ozzy walked out. At first, confusion. Murmurs. "Who is that? Did they book a janitor?" Until someone gasped. Then another. Then the room shifted. Because even hidden in a cap, something about Ozzy cannot be disguised. Presence. Ozzy took the mic. Tonight I heard great music, and I also heard arrogance. The room turned to ice. Richard froze at the bar. Some say metal is just noise. Some say only trained musicians create real art, but music isn't notes. Music is heart, silence. You could hear people breathing. Let's find out if noise can feel. Ozzy nodded backstage. The track began, piano soft, aching, hopeful, dreamer, and then Ozzy sang. Ozzy didn't scream. He didn't command. He felt. His voice cracked not from weakness, but from honesty. When he sang "I'm Just a Dreamer," the room wasn't listening. They were remembering moments they had forgotten. The club became a cathedral. Critics lowered phones. Arms folded in arrogance slowly fell open. Eyes glistened, because raw emotion, real vulnerability, hits harder than perfection ever can. For that performance, metal and jazz ceased existing. There was only humanity. When the last note faded, there was no noise, just pure silence and the kind only truth can create. Then the room erupted. Stand-up applause, tears, shock. Richard didn't clap at first. Because ego must die before hands can rise, then he stood, and clapped harder than anyone. Richard approached Ozzy after eyes wet, hands trembling. "I was wrong. Your music. It's soul. I forgot what music meant." Ozzy placed a hand on his shoulder. "Technique builds walls, heart builds bridges. Don't forget which one people walk across." Richard nodded. Ego shattered, artist reborn. Back at the hotel, Ozzy scrolled through videos. Millions of views. Comments pouring like rain. He didn't sing, he bled emotion. Metal isn't noise, it's life. Sharon walked over, arms crossed, smirking. "What did you do now, John?" Ozzy shrugged, innocent as a saint. "Just went to a jazz club, love." Sharon sighed. The sigh of a woman married to chaos she secretly adores. Only you could start a peaceful night and end up in a viral cultural revolution. Ozzy winked. Music happens. A week later, Richard Ashford performed again. Same club, same stage, but this time, he closed his eyes, breathed, and played like a man who remembered pain, joy, and humanity. People wept, because he didn't play notes. He played truth, and in the back corner, unseen once again, sat Ozzy smiling. Not because he proved metal matters, but because he proved music only lives when the heart does. If this story touched you, if you felt something in your chest while reading, and like this video, share with someone who loves real music. Subscribe to Voices of Darkness because legends aren't loud. Legends are real, and real always rises. Music is not sound. Music is soul given shape.